Hey everyone, I'm Lou Perez, your host of the Builder Upper Show, a podcast where we talk about everything in construction and trades. Now let's get into it. I would like to welcome our guest, Kolby Butcher, co-owner of Double Jack Industries and Double Jack Dump and Demo. Hey Kolby, how are you doing today?
Good morning. Good morning. How are we doing?
Good. So I appreciate you jumping on the show. We've met a few times, had a few meetings, and I'm so glad that you were able to get on the podcast with us today. And I just want to jump right in. When did you get into construction?
I was young, man. I was young. Kind of grew up in the household. Mom was on the construction management side, A&E, and dad was a chief deck engineer, maritime construction, right? Pile driving, dredging, that kind of stuff. So that's all I ever knew. So I guess that was the most logical career path after high school, seeing as I was definitely not on the college-bound train.
That's awesome. So it sounds like family business. Who's like your big inspiration out of all of it?
Ooh, that's tough, man. That's tough. As much as I would say or love to say my dad, just because him and I are very much the same. We almost don't get along just because we are so similar. It's definitely my mom. My mom's an animal, right? Grew up New Zealand, Fiji. Totally had nothing to do with construction, right? Worked at dairy when she was real little. Her family owned one, right? Comes over here, early '90s. Meets my dad, marries my dad, and now she's an owner, right? So it's kind of a bit of its own success story. So watching kind of going 0 to 100 with that over the last 25 years they've been in business has been amazing, and watching her do her thing now is incredible.
That's awesome. New Zealand. That is definitely a very popular area for tough, strong individuals. I think, what is it known for? Rugby.
Yes,
Is that the
absolutely.
All Blacks?
It is. Yep.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. So I know that you're doing a lot of stuff, and it sounds like you have all these ideas and everything to do to help the construction industry. So I want to unpack some of that. But before we jump into it, are you able to tell me, what inspired you to be an owner of a construction company?
I think there's two answers here, right? Everybody that is an owner is an owner because they were terrible employees, right? No, that's a joke. A lot of it's true. But growing up, right, seeing, like I said, my mom do her thing, and then watching kind of everybody else and working for bigger companies, right? I'm like, who owns this joint? Like, I'm just out here running around sweating and covered in hydraulic fluid, but somebody out here owns a yacht, right? And it's not me. So it's just always my thought process was, how far can I take myself? What can I do? And then one day just like decided, I'm like, well, I'm either going to go broke and die, but if you start at the bottom, you can only go up, right? Like I have a very streamlined and like incredibly attentive mindset. That's just like I just know losing's not an option for me. So I'm like, well, I might as well give it a shot. So here we are today, enjoying myself, right? Totally still uneducated about how this works. People think I really have it together all the time, or they know me for being kind of wild. And it's absolutely true. I will try my best hand at everything, and construction is what I know. So what a better place to try and, get in where I fit in.
When you got started, did you ever have the mindset like, oh, I can set my own hours or anything like that? Or, I mean, are you constantly working on the clock?
No, I'm constantly working, growing up and both parents always moving and shaking and doing their stuff, right? Watching mom work Saturdays and Sundays at the laptop, missing stuff and whatnot, and always being super busy. I knew what it was to do what I'm doing now. Is there plenty of playtime and fun? For sure. Absolutely. But as far as hours go and what I'm doing, it's a lot, right? I have a co-owner, Samantha. She's amazing. She's great. Picks up a lot of my slack on like the technical side, and I mean, definitely on the accounting side. I am so not that guy. So I'm very lucky and blessed to have people in my corner that handle that stuff for me. So I can really just be like, I think my LinkedIn says the chief idea guy, which is really what I do. So I'm like, always, I walk in the office 5, 6 o'clock in the morning with all these wild ideas, and people are just like, what are you doing, dude? Did you even sleep last night? I'm like, yes, for sure. So that's yeah.
Samantha grounds you then. Is that what you're saying?
between my wife, Samantha, everyone that works with us on different projects and whatnot, they're always like, dude, relax. And I'm like, I'll relax when I'm dead. Like we're streamlined now that I'm full-time self-employed, right? I got mouths to feed at home, mortgage to pay for. There's no time for sleep. And I function well that way. That is my best form of function, is wide open. So I fit this. My personality definitely fits this lifestyle for sure, which is great. So I enjoy it.
So there's no turning back now. You're fully dedicated. Tell me a little bit about your businesses.
So Double Jack Industries is we are a California-based, California-specific AEC recruiting firm, right? So working with some of the top construction management firms in the state, as well as general contractors and their subs, right? We have a couple of different kind of models that we haven't seen in recruiting. That's why I got into this. I'm totally a people guy, right? The math and the billing, the accounting, and like the marketing side, they can have it, right? Well, that's why I have, my people. But I am definitely the people person. So I love talking to people, love meeting new people. I always, when I was searching for a new job, was always looking, obviously, right, there's a money factor to it, but there's a big cultural shift in how we hunt for work and whatnot now, right? And there's recruiters from all over the world that try and penetrate our market, but they don't know how it really works. They're not here, they're not living it, they're not breathing it. So we started Double Jack as kind of a one-stop shop for a firm to call and say, hey, this is what I'm looking for, X, Y, and Z. Find me that person. And I know that sounds rather generic, but there's so many layers to it that we've really modeled our business around, and it's been super successful. I mean, it really was like an overnight wildfire, and we're loving it, right? We get to work with our friends. People trust us. I think that's that's a big, missing factor in recruiting is, it's just a shotgun resume stream all the time in your email of buzzwords and things that don't really make sense to or pertain to your specific scope and business model. But we kind of reverse the system, and we really I tell people all the time, we're going to date you before we marry you, right? Like if I'm going to recruit for you, I'm going to know your business. I'm going to know your management team, your style, whether you like to run a thin skeleton crews type system, or you guys are very structured and this is how you run things, and you want somebody that can fit right into that. So we're really going to get to know your company as a whole before we go just trying to send and recruit. And at the end of the day, recruiting, and I think this is what people forget, is as a recruiting firm, our job is to sell your company. Recruiters don't do that, right? They just match name and name, and they hope something works out, and their model is bulk, right? Our model is definitely not bulk. It is absolutely fit. So I think that's what set us apart. And so that's Double Jack Industries, right? And there are subsidiary or DBAs, Double Jack Dump and Demo, and this is a way bigger conversation for another day, right? But Double Jack Dump and Demo is a new company with a new waste model. Waste off-haul model, right? So typically right now on most construction sites, and this isn't all, but a lot of them, all the construction site waste goes into a dumpster and it gets shipped off to the landfill. And then at that point it's separated, right? Double Jack's model is we staff the job site with our personnel, and they separate the trash and recyclables, usable materials, everything on site, right? And we do that and with our labor. And in addition to, they housekeep, right? So our guys and gals run around the entire job site behind all the trades, and they take care of all the housekeeping issues. We pick everything up. We exchange trash cans, skip boxes, all that stuff, right? And then we bring it back. We sort it that way when it lands at the waste or at the landfill, it's in its final destination. But all of our proceeds from recycling and all of the leftover usable materials that may not be deemed usable on the job site, but are still good for, building something small or teaching kids how to cut and screw and nail and whatnot, we donate 100% of the recyclables and still usable materials to high school CTE programs local to each job site. So still a very new model. The whole goal is to try and, help fund or raise funds, donate funds to local CTE programs to get kids in the high school or even community college level out into the trades, promote the industry, and trying to kind of complete the circle of service of recruiting is really what it is, right? It's recruiting from a different eye and view. So that's our goal. We work with a couple of really good programs here in the state. My favorite, my biggest one is Build California, AGC's construction initiative, or educate workforce development initiative, I guess you'd say. My goal is eventually to pull all of my apprenticeship staff out of their program, which I've worked with for years now, And I was actually on the phone yesterday with the director of that. And I was like, hey, I feel like for the last couple of years, all I've done is talk to kids and I haven't done anything tangible. So my goal behind even starting Dump and Demo is to make sure that I'm standing on what I'm telling people and giving them a legitimate avenue to get into the industry and produce a career for themselves and see something through, right? And they don't have to work for us forever. I don't care if you work for me for 2 years and you tell me one day, hey, Kolby, I want to go be an electrician. My goal is to have the company, hey, sounds good. I'll write your check to get into the union or whatever else. I'll help you, sponsor you somehow to get that next step, right? We need people in every trade, not just one. So as whatever we can do to actually kind of cradle to grave my, rambling so far at all these career programs and career days and whatnot is my goal, right? I'm not even concerned about making a bunch of money. I'm just concerned about, what I've said to people, kids, staff, other companies, and actually seeing something through to the end and putting these kids and young adults into the industry.
That's awesome. So you're making a huge impact. Do you feel like you have an advantage from knowing the recruiting side and then bringing that into Double Jack, Dump and Demo? Setting yourself apart for bringing in workers in a larger capacity, but also in quality fashion.
Sure. I think it's important for all company owners to take a step back and realize if people are in the right place for their own success, right? Because when people are successful and they're liking what they're doing, ultimately they become more profitable for your firm and your company, right? So knowing how to recruit, how to talk to people, how to really feel out what somebody wants to do. I'm not for everybody. Everyone's not for me, and not every person's right for every company, right? So I feel like when I talk to people about Dump and Demo and what's going on and where we're going, I can give them a really good idea of like, hey, this is what we do. If this is a path or a gateway for you, great. I'm all in on you. If it's not, totally fine, right? And I've got a lot of people really excited about what we're doing because it's we're not the first in the industry to do it. We're not the first, people to ever give an avenue from A to Z. But I think people are just stoked that there's something different, right? And it caters to a few things, right? Obviously, with the housekeeping, it's job site safety. It's the sustainability with obviously workforce, which I mean, we can get into whole sustainability and what I think the most important form of sustainability is, but it fits the waste model sustainability. It fits, the workforce development avenue. It fits a lot of different, roles that people like to see kind of all in one. So when I talk to people and I'm trying to recruit, help or whatever, right? Lance has been amazing. Everyone's just been really positive. So having the keen eye on recruiting, how things work on that front and how people really view opportunity has helped a lot for sure.
Awesome. Could I unpack a little bit? So like Build America, can you give people a description of what that is and what it entails?
So Build California, right.
Or Build California.
No, all good. So Build California is AGC of California's workforce development initiative, right? So they've got a team of staff up and down the state, and they do a lot of like high school career fair days, CTE program, conversations. They go to the schools, discuss the industry. They're really trying to promote the high school and junior college and really just young adults in general, trying to get into the construction industry or just promote what the industry has to offer, right? It's been around for a couple of years now, and they've got a really great impact. Their staff is amazing. I'm good friends with a lot of them, and it's just probably, if I had to like put a definition, just the most effective kind of big blanket system that's gone on as an avenue for people to find out more about our industry, how to get into it, more about each specific trade. They spend a lot of time talking about the trades and what they do and compensation and growth and everything else. And then they have a lot of the cool part about Build is you've got so many big, just massive companies who their owners and representatives and stuff spend a lot of time contributing to, whether it's monetary or whether it's time value, whatever it is. And we've just got a really good group of people that are here, and everybody wants the same thing. And I think that's what's really cool is it's a total nonprofit, right? None of us are here making money out of it. We're just trying to promote what it is that we do and let kids know that it's not all just hammer and nails, right? You have multiple options. It's not just college or military out of high school. You can get into an industry that's extremely fulfilling. You can make great money here. You make a fantastic career, feed your family. And it's for everyone. And I think that's what Build's done a really good job is. It's not just for, young men that are hungry and don't want to go to school. It's for everyone. There's a place here for all walks of life and all kinds of talents, right? Soft skills, software, all that stuff, right? All these kids that are really into tech, we need it. It's not just for the kids that are interested in smashing stuff with a hammer all day, welding, or like my case, driving pile. That's what I thought was great until I did it for long enough, and I was like, well, this kind of sucks. So I think
I'm,
it's you come from the trades yourself, right? And look where
yep.
you're at now. It's very similar. Did I ever think at 19 years old I'd be an owner of a recruiting firm, or even now a contracting company, right? No, not at all. But it's got its way of showing everybody that there's new paths to be had, and it's amazing. I enjoy it every day.
I'm a big fan of Build California, AGC, everything that they're doing over there, even for like small business and just
Oh yeah.
helping individuals move forward. So definitely glad that you were able to put the spotlight on them. You name dropped somebody earlier, but didn't go into detail of who they were and what they do. You mentioned Lance, so I'd love
Yes.
to get a little highlight of that.
Dude, Lance is an animal. That's the only way I can say it, right? So, like, I don't know. Like I've said multiple times, I'm not a tech guy, so I don't understand like the Chat GPT, AI, none of this stuff, right? And I mean, it's absolutely applicable in what we do. I'm just very much so. I am the hammer and nails guy, right? It's like this goes with this, and they fit together, and great, it's done, right? Well, there's so many more layers to it. Lance and I met a while ago now, right? And I mean, that's how I met you guys, and everybody else was all through Lance. Just what a connected and intelligent person, man. That guy's like probably he's in my top 5 of favorite people to call and like run an idea past. He gave me a lot of insight on dump and demo when we're starting that, right? Because we're still going through a lot of certification processes and stuff like that, trying to get our DBE sorted out. And he's like, hey, dude, like, I like to own my own stuff. I have no idea why I like this, but like growing up and seeing the owners rolling in a brand new King Ranch Super Duty or whatever, I was like, yeah, I want that to be me. So I went out and I have multiple trucks and the trailer and everything else. And so we starting dump and demo, right? And I'm like looking to go buy the dumpsters and the dump trailers and everything. He's like, take a step back, partner. Let's think reality here. He's like, get yourself some jobs lined out, right? And just shows me different ways to shake it. And he's a partnering guru, right? So he knows everybody. Hey, call this person. They could, rent you stuff or sub you stuff. So I'm not just all my money out of pocket, right? Because that's how my mind thinks. Is like, okay, need this, buy it, apply it, right? Lance is like, hey, think this through, sleep on that, right? And think about this. And I hate to say it, but every single time I talk to the guy, he's right. He's like, don't do that. That's the dumbest thing I ever heard. Let's do this. And I'm like, all right, that's fine. Fair. You win.
Yeah, I highly suggest everybody go out and check out Lance on LinkedIn. So it's Lance Furuana or Yana. It's Furuyama is his last name. Phenomenal individual. I
Yes.
will definitely piggyback off of what you said. He's a great person to know. He's a great connector. So definitely highly suggest everybody reach out to Lance, get connected with him. He's such a nice guy to talk to. And he always gives you his time, which is amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. So when did you get started with all this bit? Like, has it been years? Would be great to understand that.
No, it's so from a concept level, it's been going the last couple of years, right? I got out of the trades, got into construction management, and then noticed a lot of things. And it started this idea probably like 2020 when COVID was going on, when the work from home and the switch around, and then all of a sudden business was booming for construction for a couple of years, and like everyone that wanted to work from home stayed, whatever. But then all of a sudden this like massive scramble of money just hit, and everyone's working, and there's people jumping back and forth, right, going for whoever's bidding the work, who's paying the most. So I saw that going on, and I thought that was super interesting. But the common denominator in all of that was people would just go where the money was, but then they'd 6 months later, you'd be on LinkedIn and they'd be like, oh, started a new position here. Well, didn't you just go somewhere? Like, why? Like, what is the common denominator? Is cultural fit just was not there. People were just chasing money, and a lot of times, and what we see a lot of now, I'd say probably 50% of the people that we talk to and are placing, especially on the higher end, the engineering, the C-suite level stuff, they're not even concerned about compensation. That's really kind of on the back burner. They're more interested in having a conversation with the exec level and seeing what it is that they're looking for, what they can do, what their skills can kind of match at, and then building a relationship and then talking compensation. Compensation's done a total 180 in a lot of cases for us that we've seen. That's just gotten super interesting. So to back all the way up, it went from concept to reality in December of 2023. So not even a year ago, I sat down with Samantha. She was had just left her company, and I was like, hey, I have this idea. I've kind of been operating it totally on the low end, right? Doing it in a lot of cases for free for certain people. And I was still working for a different company. And up until actually April of this year, when I really could have left immediately in January, I just didn't know, right? So we're sitting here talking about these concepts and whatnot. I'm like, all right, fine. So I called LegalZoom. You know what I mean? Funny story, right? Just the generic 1-800 make me an LLC. Moral of the story, it's got much bigger than that, right? But so anyways, we filed as a partnership, right? Got everything sorted out. And then here we are exactly almost 9 months later at this rate. And both of us gainfully self-employed, can't find, any spare time for anything. I'm looking at 5 whiteboards in my office, absolutely loaded full of positions for jobs we need to fill, and figuring out how we're going to do it. Great relationships with clients. Really just kind of escalated, like I said, wildfire overnight. And every day something new comes in for us, whether it's dump and demo or it's recruiting. And it's been a blessing for sure.
That's awesome. I mean, you are on the fast track. I know it's only been a year, but is there something that you know today that you wish you knew even a year ago?
I mean, I kind of knew it, but I didn't really believe in it. Is like, you really only can count on yourself, man. Everybody's got, like, there's so many naysayers out there, right? And like, not that anybody was negative towards what we were doing. They're like, really? You think that's going to work? I'm like, I know it's going to work. It can't not work, right? That's just my mindset. People are like, well, and nope. Sorry, I ain't got time for it. I'm out, right? And so I knew that was happening, and people were like, well, before you quit your day job. I'm like, why? I'd rather quit my day job and have and I mean, we never went broke, but go broke and have no option but to go up, right? Like that's when you really start to get in. And then in 1st of May, when I went full time with Double Jack, which I already was full time, right? But I got rid of my 9 to 5. Which I was doing, remote anyways. I was like, okay, this is it. And since then, right, it's tripled, quadrupled, and you can't stop there, right? We're expecting probably 10x by the end of the year. And why? It's because there's no option. I have no paycheck now. I have no one paying me, right, Monday through Friday for 40 hours or plus or minus, right? It's just what I bring to the table is all I can take home. So I think that is something. And so to answer your question, it's trust yourself, right? It's like, it's totally doable. No one that's, filthy rich or has anything great, right, just woke up one day and decided to have it. They had to hustle for it, right? Whether it's family wealth or whatever, and makes no difference. You have to actually do it. So that's not like an answer to question, but I think that just knowing that you can, right, and figuring it out. There's days that, I mean, we come in here and I'm like, I'm dreading it. I'm like, oh my God, what have we done? And the next day, right, you catch a win and you ride that high for a couple of days, and you just keep making sure that you hit those marks. And you'll surprise yourself at how much you can do when you're applied full time.
Yeah, no, I'm totally with you. Do you have any, secrets on scaling your business? I mean, you're definitely scaling. So is there something that you're, some sort of secret sauce behind the scenes? Are you reading some books or anything? Where are you getting your information, and how are you doing all this?
I am a book guy. I do like books, and there's a ton of like self-help, grow your book or grow your mind, right? And like, this is how you do this and that, and all this advice, right? But the best advice I can give, so is just be a hammer. Don't stop. Like, if you ever get to a point where you're like, I don't know if we should do this, or I don't know, like, just run the risk. I mean, obviously within reasonable, or like, reasonable space, but why? Why hold yourself back, right? If you're not trying, you're going to wake up 2 weeks later and go, man, I wish I would have done that. But apply for the small business loan, go out and hustle, talk to people. You know what I mean? I think that's the biggest one, is what people miss is like, people undervalue networks a lot, or networking a lot, right? That's all I do. That if you had to boil down what I really do here at Double Jack and what I've really done my whole career, is network, meet and talk to people, be a good person, stand on what you say. If you say you're going to do something, do it. But the honest skill or secret to growing a business is authenticity and being genuine. I mean, Lou, you get the same me every time we talk on the phone. Samantha gets the same me every time I walk in the office, right? Good day, bad day. There is no bad days, right? It's just there's bad happenings. You're dealt a set of cards, or a hand of cards. Deal your own cards, right? I deal my own cards every day. I can choose to, it's perspective. It's all of these things, right? And yeah, every book talks about it and you can read what you want, but that's all you're doing is reading. If you don't apply it and do it, then you just sat there and read words is my theory, right? So when it comes to scaling a business, you have to learn to scale yourself, right? Discipline yourself, understand that this is what's going on, right? And I think that the same thing applies to leadership. You can't lead people if you can't lead yourself to success, right? You have to be able to lead yourself, understand yourself, your weaknesses, everything else. And at that point, then you can learn to lead people, lead a business, whatever else, right? But you have to wake up every day with a hungry mindset and believe that you can do it. I run into things all the time where I'm like, I can't even read this. My reading comprehension level is not even this good. But right, if I read it 10 times, eventually I'll figure it out, right? And I'm not trying to dumb myself down, but I'm really good at some things and I suck at others, right? Figure out what you suck at. Spend a lot of time trying to make that better. And you might not be the best at it, but you can do it now, And I think it's that, long story short, that's just make something of everything.
I really like what you said. If you want to scale your business, you have to scale yourself. I'm so on board for that. I'm all about that. When you go out and recruit new workers, is that hard? Do you look for anything in particular? Is there any like top 3 traits that you look for when recruiting new workers or hiring new people?
If I'm recruiting for a company, right, I have my own checklist of things that I look for, right? Especially depending, it's tailored to each company or client. But for me, when I'm talking to people about like, helping me or hiring a service or something like that, if that's what you're getting at, or like when I go to really hire for dump and demo, I'm not worried about experience, right? I can train you to do what I need you to do. I'm worried about you. Like, what is it that you do? Are you someone that goes home every night and video games and doesn't better yourself? You're not really for me, right? If you're someone that's absolutely horrible at everything on my list, but you've got the attitude to learn, like that's what feeds me, right? I was not the kid that, understood school and understood every test. I mean, I've graduated high school with a sub 2.0 GPA, right? That was just not how I learned, right? And to no one's fault but my own. That's just what it was. But I was always hungry, and that was the difference. It's like I always wanted the things, or I wanted to, be able to provide a nice house, not just a house, but a nice house with acreage. And now that I have that, I'm like, hey, this is we work a X amount of time, we can get nice stuff, and that's what I always wanted. So it's less about the experience when I'm hiring for myself or when I'm talking to people for myself, and more about the authenticity of the individual and what it is they want to do, how they want to grow, where they see themselves. Like I said, I can take someone that has no idea what we're doing or whatever. I can train them to do what I want, but you have to have the mindset to be trainable. You have to have the mindset to absorb and learn. And that's what we look for.
Awesome. Do you encourage any individuals to move towards the construction industry? Like, how do you promote construction to maybe newcomers?
Man, I always just kind of default to my story, right? Not that it's amazing at any rate, but it's if you're not going to go to college, if you're not going to go in the military, if you don't have a family company to go to work for, and you want something where, yeah, you're going to hustle and yeah, you're going to sweat. Yeah, you're going to bleed at times, right? That's how it works. But, and it's early mornings and it's late nights at times, right? It's weekends. But if you want a career path that is fulfilling, you can watch something get built, start to finish, backing all the way up, the entire world revolves around construction, right? Every modern convenience that we have here in the greatest country in the world, in America, and any country for that matter, right, revolves around construction. Every time you go to Starbucks, someone had to build that. Every road you drive on, someone had to build that, right? It wasn't robots that built your Starbucks. It's humans. So, I tell people, I'm like, if you really want to be on the leading front of what goes on, whether it's modern conveniences, the world, how things work, I mean, everything that the manufacturing plant that my car, trucks were built in started with construction, right? And it's an idea, concept, design, and then eventually build. You can be a part of any of that process, right? And you are leading, honestly, the world at some rate, right? Like you are building what people use to survive. And so when I was getting out of school and whatnot, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I just knew that I could go do this and I could make money so I could have and build my own stuff. And that's exactly what I've done. So I try and, kids want this instant gratification, or people want this instant gratification. And it's not that, right? Your first paycheck when you're on a prevailing wage job, or when you sign up or you journey out of an apprenticeship program, you're going to be like, oh man, this is legit, right? Man, I had to put a lot of effort in to get this, but it's always there. It's always going to happen. Construction is never going to completely fall. It might ebb and flow, right, with the economy, call it what you will, whatever political view you have. But there's always opportunity here in one way or another, right? And I always tell kids and young adults that don't really know and they're wishy-washy on getting into the industry. I'm like, it's not just the trades. There's so many opportunities here. Probably one of the most opportunity-rich industries in the world, right? Look at what you do. You're in payroll software and apps and stuff on a phone, right? And I mean, you know that I totally believe in your product, right? I try to push to everybody that that's what is available out there. And then I do recruiting, and there's people that they're mechanics, and there's all kinds of different stuff, right? Banking is a huge one. If you're an accounting degree, you can absolutely get into construction, right? Get on the back end of someone's payroll system or accounts payable, receivable, go work for a bank, right? There's so much stuff here. And it's, like I said, opportunity rich, that it's just about educating the young adults of the world that it's not just tool bags and ladders.
Yeah, I'm glad that you articulated that. How do you leverage technology in your own business? And then do you feel like technology itself is beneficial in construction?
Well, let me tell you, technology, LinkedIn Recruiter is legit. And it's expensive, but we're not going to talk about that. I leverage it personally for networking, right? I mean, you have to. LinkedIn's huge, all the Instagram stuff. Every company's got their own social medias now. So you can watch it, but I mean, selfishly, you can watch what's going on, who's doing what, who's chasing what work, almost down to it, right? Anymore, the owners of these projects, it goes on the internet, right? So if you want to dumb technology just down to just basic internet availability is massive, right? There's nothing that we can't figure out now as the human race because of the internet, right? And so if the way I use the internet is to educate myself, is that's how I use technology, right? Is always trying to evolve, figure something out, right? Samantha asked me a question about something, or someone asked me something, I'm like, yeah, I don't know, but you know what? I'm sitting at my laptop, so give me 10 minutes, right? You can figure stuff out. And I think that that's just such a lost concept. We've all just swarmed into the internet, and everyone operates off it every day, but we forget what it's really good for, which is, keeping in touch, networking, and finding out information, and ultimately growing your business, meeting new people, chasing down new clients and opportunities. I mean, it's such a useful tool, but some people just forget its basic functions, and I use it for its basic functions. I am not the super tech AI type of person, right? I'm definitely the generic level, if you will, but it's arguably the greatest tool.
Awesome. Where can people find your business? Like, where do you typically do business?
Ooh, tough question, because I don't do a ton of marketing, right? It's when we first started, we're like, we need to build a website. We need to do this. And like a month in, we're like, why did we build a website? This is ridiculous. We're getting like these emails. And like once people found out that we were California specific, like we very rarely venture out of California. We might do a project for a company that's in California, but they need someone in Arizona or Oregon, Washington, wherever, right? But our 99.9% of our scope our market is in California. So once they figured that out, right, they were like, oh man, this is amazing. And a lot of people knew me and knew kind of what I was doing. So it was, like I said, wildfire. So marketing is really not my jam. You can visit our website, total transparency. Haven't updated it since we first built it, January 5th of this year, right? So catch me on LinkedIn. You can get me on LinkedIn. My phone number is everywhere. I'm always available. I'll take any phone calls, even telemarketers. I like to sit there and talk to them for half an hour, right, and just chalk them up. But the best way to get a hold of us is via phone, text, email, LinkedIn, that kind of stuff. Catch up on what we're doing. I'm always, grateful to meet new people and figure out, different ideas. Right, every time I meet someone new, it gives us an avenue of growth for the business. I feel like, right, you always get a different perspective. So really, just the generic, like I said, LinkedIn, phone call, email, website.
What's the phone number that they can reach you at?
I'm going to give them Samantha's phone number. It's 530-308-2731, or you can get myself as 916-622-6481.
Awesome.
So
awesome.
they can get hold of us that way and figure out what it is we do, or if they've got struggles going on with recruiting or business development, which is a whole different model we haven't talked about. we're here for it.
Awesome. Okay. Well, now I know there's going to be a lot of marketing people reaching out to you offering marketing services. So sorry about that, but
You
get ready for it. Get ready. Last question before we wrap up. I know you mentioned like you definitely threw down some advice in our earlier in our conversation, but wanted to see if there was anything else. Do you have any advice for new construction owners or anything that you would like to share with our listeners?
Oh, it gets better. Don't worry. If you're struggling, you're in the mud right now. It does get. Wait, Samantha and I, we were in the mud 2 weeks ago trying to figure out how we're going to work out these SBA loans and figure out dump and demo and staffing. I'm like, at the end of the day, when you go home and you're dead tired and you're struggling and you're wondering what you're doing, you can only go up. Like, yeah, you're going to go backwards. Yep, you're going to go broke. Just expect it, right? There's never the cash flow is not always north, right? And so people get super discouraged. I've talked to a lot of young business owners, just like myself, right? There's a community of us. We converse all the time. Man, what are you doing with this? How are you buying trucks? Are you going forward commercial fleet credit? Like whatever. So many details here to get wrapped up in. Just keep doing what you do and be yourself, right? People will fall in love with what it is that you're doing and you. There's not, like I said, not everyone's for everyone, but there are people out there that will just organically land in your corner and nurture those relationships. That's what I can tell you is not just scale your business. Don't focus on just the business, but focus on the people who are in your corner, because those are the people who are going to help you, right? And everyone's like, well, don't share all your secrets. No, I completely agree. But if you've got somebody willing to stand with you in your corner for a certain amount of time, right? Help them, and then help them help you as well, right? Push each other. Don't ever cool guy anyone. That's like a new younger term that I hear all the time is people getting cool guyed. It's don't be that guy. Talk to everybody, right? Don't shy anybody off just because you don't think they bring value to your circle, right? Feel them out, and if they don't, that's fine. You know what I mean? Keep their phone number. You never know, and that's what I think is really important is never burn bridges. Always try and, be yourself, be an asset to somebody else's team, right? You never know when they're going to call on you, and that call could be the make or break point in your business. So yeah, do what it is that you do it well. Make sure you become a professional in whatever it is that you're trying to do. Streamline that and keep hammering for sure.
That was awesome advice. Everybody heard it. Don't cool guy anybody. It's not the way to go. So follow what Kolby says. It's awesome. Reach out to Kolby. Thank you, Kolby, for being a guest on our show. Please, everyone, like, subscribe, comment, and share the Builder Upper Show with anyone in the construction industry. We will see you next time. If you're a construction contractor and would like to appear as a guest on our podcast, write us an email. It's lou@lumberfi.com.